This is Impact 2022. I am Nathaniel Watkins, and this is our continuing conversation where we talk about all types of topics: race, religion, social topics, current events, everything that we want to talk about, and everything that you want to talk about, we will talk about. And as always, for those of you who have been here before, and those of you who it's your first time, this is our continuing conversation. And so, as the conversation goes, we ask that you type your questions and your comments into the comment section. And as they pop up, we will address them. We'll go through and whatever you want to comment on, we will address those comments and continue on the conversation. And as always, let's hop right into it. So what we're going to talk about today is gun control. However, I have to stop and talk about something that I just saw not too long ago: abortion. I know this is a hot topic. It goes all which ways: religious topic, social topic. But abortion is a big topic. And right now, the Supreme Court is trying to decide whether or not Roe versus Wade, the legal statute that basically says that abortion is legal and a legal right here in the United States, is being discussed by the Supreme Court. However, in Florida, the governor just signed a bill that bans abortion after 15 weeks. Ironically, they're being sued. So the state of Florida is being sued. The law goes into effect July 1st, but they're being sued by two groups. And one of the two groups is a Jewish group who believes that their religious freedoms are being violated because under their interpretation of the Jewish religion is that abortion may be done by the religious organization in cases where it will bring shame or psychological damage or some other negative effects to the mother. And so they are saying that their religious freedoms are being violated by the abortion ban, by the abortion ban after 15 weeks. And just to be clear on what that means, just from a technical standpoint, what they say is that many women do not know that they are pregnant before at 15 weeks. It can be up to 20, 23 weeks. It can be even further along. There's many cases where they don't know until further along. And so in actuality, you don't get an opportunity to know whether or not you're pregnant at the 15-week ban period. So that's the technically, it's basically a full abortion ban when they say 15 weeks. So the irony is that for years, we've heard this religious battle and this religious cry of abortion is against, religions. Abortion is against Christianity. Abortion is against, these different organizations. They're like, well, God doesn't want abortion, and that's why we want to ban abortion. And so, ironically, now you have a group, not a made-up side religion, but a major religious group, Jewish group, who are saying that their religious freedoms are being violated. And so, from a standpoint of churches, how ironic is that? How ironic is that for so long people were saying that violates their faith and their religion, and now another religious organization is saying it violates theirs. And so, this is not a large group of the Jewish community. This is a special Jewish group. I don't have the exact name because I don't know how to say it, but it is just ironic that has come up. And so I just wanted to address that and bring that up. That the fight has gotten weird, and we have to remember that religious freedoms go both ways. One of the things that we talked about, is legislating what people want to do, legislating morality, legislating rights. But rights go both ways. It's in most situations, two people can't have all of their rights at the same time if they disagree. And so that'll be an interesting one to see, especially with the Supreme Court and how they are deliberating over Roe versus Wade at this moment. They're deliberating over a similar law, a 15-week ban in post 15-week ban in Mississippi. And so we will see, because it looks like that'll be the next one up on the docket: religious freedom. How are you going to deny people the ability to have abortions if it is in their religion? It's in their faith. Um, and then, still have religious freedom. So that's going to be an interesting one. I had to just speak on that, just because, man, that was just right there. Like, I thought it was so interesting. So, mass shootings. That's what we're looking at today. The definition, and for those, you hear about mass shootings all the time. So the definition of a mass shooting is not solid. Definition of a mass killing is, but mass shootings have different definitions. Usually here in the United States, typically they say a mass shooting is where 3 or more people are shot. In different countries, they say 5 or more people. So it's not 2 people, but where some people may think, but they say 3 or more equals up to a mass shooting. And so that's important to know when you hear mass shooting, because you're like, well, what is a mass shooting? According to the stats, this year, 2022, is looking to be one of the worst years on record. 2021 was one of the worst years on record for mass shootings. And right now, as of right now, we're on pace to have more mass shootings than there was in 2021. For perspective, what's a lot of mass shootings? Right now, as of June the 14th, we have 246 mass shootings here in, I'm sorry, not as of June the 14th, as of the beginning of June. There's a little bit of lag time in the data that we've gotten. 246 mass shootings. So 246 times 3 or more people were shot here in the United States. They said that is by far the largest number of any major country. And the numbers get even worse, because when you look at it, it is over 1,300 people have been shot in that time frame. And so, we've been looking at things such as what happened in Uvalde, Texas. We're looking at things that happened in Buffalo. We're looking at numerous activities that have happened across the country. But to really put it in perspective and really realize it, 246 mass shootings. And as of right now, there were 13 mass shootings just this past weekend. Today is Tuesday. So this past weekend, this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, 13 mass shootings. And so the trend is it's not getting better. It's getting worse. If 2021 was the worst on record, then why did we follow it up with a 2022 that's just as bad? We had many reasons from before that we talked about the mass shootings. Many reasons have been given. One of the things that people were saying, well, it's COVID. It's the stay at home. People are disconnected. People are losing it. They're shooting each other. They're getting in arguments and such and such and such. But we're out now for the most part. We're not out of COVID, but we're out and about. People are still getting shot at a horrible, horrible rate. The lockdown, the major lockdown is 2020. We're in 2022. And so you're looking at 2021, the worst mass shootings, and then 2022, we followed up. So what has occurred and what is occurring that we are having so many more mass shootings, and what has occurred and is occurring that we can't get a handle on it, or we can't bring that back? I'll never sit back and say, well, things shouldn't get out of control, because things get out of control sometimes. But we should be able to have the ability to bring it back. And so when we look at looking further into the statistics of what's going on, it's the pace of mass shootings for this year has upticked even further on. And so we will surpass 2021 if we stay on track to what we are right now. And unfortunately, it looks like we are. And the overwhelming majority of mass shootings, larger mass shootings, and when I say larger mass shootings, you're looking at 10 or more are coming from 18-year-olds. Oh, I'm sorry, teenagers. That's people who are 19, 18, and younger. Let me reiterate that. So the majority of the larger mass shootings are coming from people who are teenagers, kids who have guns and are shooting multiple people at a time. And so we've had, we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, and the reason being that we kind of keep circling on this is because it is a significant, serious topic. Um, and it's a topic that we're actively dealing with. Legislation is actively being pushed and pursued to kind of curb gun violence. What has just been passed in the Congress, uh, in the House, and is being debated is red flag laws. And those are the ability of the government, the court system, to be able to flag people, red flag, as it says, to be able to take away their access to purchase handguns, so purchase guns, whether it be because of violent criminal activity, whether it be because of mental activity, um, whether they are flagged for um, dishonorable discharge out of the military. It's a couple of different, it's a list of different reasons why the court system can deem you ineligible to purchase and to own a gun. Common sense stuff for many of us. We sit back and think, well, I mean, come on, if you have shown violent tendencies or you have shown you have you do not have the capacity mentally to be able to handle uh, weapons, guns, it seems right that the court system should be able to flag you as someone who can't own a gun. I mean, they can take away your right to operate a motor vehicle. You would think that that would be sensible, but as of right now, it's not. Some other things that have gone on the contrary, in Ohio, they just passed a law that say that you no longer have to have a license to carry a gun, a concealed weapon. And the police have actually put some concern about that um, because of the fact that to get that license, you had to have training. Um, and now you don't have to have that training anymore. So you had to have training in order to get your license. You also had to let a police officer know if you saw one when you came in their presence. You had to let them know that you had a concealed weapon. Which is, so if you got pulled over and they walked into your car, you'd have to let them know, hey, I got a concealed weapon. If you were walking into a building or someplace, you have to let them know, hey, I got a concealed weapon. That law has now changed and has been taken back. So the point of that is every step forward. It seems like with the gun laws, there's some step back with the gun laws, and you really wonder why when it comes to some of these common sense things. Um, and then does that work in favor of more mass shootings? You know, it seems again senseless to me that you would take away requirements to have guns, or take away training, um, and then if you know, as a police officer, again, the police said that they feel uncomfortable about the fact that people with concealed weapons have less training, but more importantly, they don't have to say anything about them having a gun. So as many of these incidents happen with police shooting people, police saying that they have guns, that worsens that situation in two fronts. Now you have to assume people have guns or concealed weapons, and two, if you don't communicate it, that can lead to some more miscommunication, nonverbal communication when it comes to police assuming that you have a weapon. Let's go to a comment that we have. The truth of the matter is, as a society, we value what we want and desire more than life. And that, yeah, the truth is, we do desire that. And the proof in that is the fact that so what happened just recently is that one of the Supreme Court justices full circle that we're going back to Supreme Court justices. And it was assassination attempt on their life. Now, nothing actually happened, but the person was around their home and had said that they wanted to assassinate the Supreme Court justice. Now, the Congress, the Senate, um, rushed to put in funding and laws to protect the Supreme Court justices and the families at a higher rate than they're already protected. Because right now, um, they're protected, but their families aren't. And the protection it's not as large as it could be. However, some of the people pointed out that there was two things wrong with that. One, they were only trying to protect Supreme Court justices, and they weren't going to protect other judges, other federal judges. And two, it was ironic that they wanted to run and protect those judges, yet they didn't want to pass any sensible gun laws to protect children, because this was after the mass shooting in Uvalde, after the mass shooting in Buffalo, and there were subsequently laws that were put up and failed, or legislation that was put up and failed after those events happened, and there was no big rush or push to get those done. But it was a huge rush and push to get the laws done by the laws done not by, but the laws done for the Supreme Court justices. And I say that because we value what we value. So regular people, you and I, little kids losing their life to gun violence or having a threat on their daily lives is not a big deal. Let's not pass any laws, or let's get to it when we get to it, or whatever. We see 242 mass shootings in 2022. No urgency there. A threat comes to a Supreme Court justice. Look, let's throw some laws down, because these are the people who are going to vote, or not vote, but these are the people who are going to decide the laws that we want to put in place. And certain folk are sitting back and saying, well, we have the majority of Supreme Court justices, so we need to protect that group right now because we in the driver's seat. So you want what you want. You want to protect the lives of who you want to protect because it benefits you. But to the lives of other people, the other federal judges who need protection, to the children, who are subjected to mass shootings and when they go to schools, to just people in general, you don't really care about their lives. You don't really care about the protection. There's no rush there. There's no urgency there. So yeah, I think you're hitting it right on the head. That the truth of the matter is, as a society, we value what we want. We value what we want, and we want to protect those who benefit us. Even when people are trained, they are trained to kill. They say, don't pull out a gun unless you plan to use it. Yeah. And that's unfortunate. That's the unfortunate part. And that's why people are nervous and scared. I hear people talking sometimes, and they're nervous and they're scared about the fact that they feel like they have to have a gun because other people have guns. And the truth of the matter is that there are people out here who have guns who are getting trained to use those guns in violent manners. Sometimes when you see these bigger mass shootings, those people have been trained. They got training videos. They got videos of themselves out here shooting. You look at a person like Kyle Rittenhauser. That was the individual who went up during the protests, Black Lives Matter protests, social unrest protests, and shot and killed 2 people because he was trying to protect property, protect a car dealership or something like that. So left his house and went to a whole other state. Trained, professional level, but trained up. You got your gun. You're out here shooting. You're out here practicing. So the people who sometimes are the most reckless with the weapons are the ones who are the most well trained. They're all excited about it. They love their guns. These inanimate objects that just do nothing. You can go hunt with it, but they love those things. Yet their fellow man, their fellow woman that they see, the love for them is not there. It's an odd situation, but yes, You're right. Even when people are trained, they're trained to kill, and that is what's problematic here with this situation. But yeah, so to the question of the mass shootings, and to not the question of the mass shootings, the question of what do we do? You know, unfortunately for us, for regular people, for you and I, unfortunately for us, what has to be done by us. We do not have government support. We do not have support on a larger level to be able to enact laws, to enact rules and regulations to be able to stop or curb any of this violence. We do not have the will, the political will, to restrict the type of weapons that people can have. Hopefully, we'll get there. We need to continue to push towards that, but that's not where we're at. And so, then what is the answer? And it is the answer that I've heard Sunday after Sunday now. And it's we have to attempt to change people's hearts and minds, but more so their heart. You know, make it so that there is not an idea of going out and killing people, not an idea of going out and killing people that you don't know. We can start there because that I think that is just absolutely ridiculous that you want to just go out here and just kill people for no reason. You don't even know these people. Um, you know, and then start there. You shouldn't be wanting to kill people. But then getting to the point of also, you shouldn't be wanting to use killing as an answer to when you are upset with someone. Because those are two separate situations, similar but different. You know, most murders are crimes of passion, and they are relationship crimes where you know the person, and you know you had an argument or a disagreement, or there's something there, jealousy, whatever. There's something there, there's some anger there. But to kill people that you don't even know, to randomly go out here and just shoot, that's a different situation. But it doesn't matter that they're different situations. We need to be able to handle both. And the solution to both is similar and the same, and is we have to change hearts and minds. One person he shot also had a gun, but he couldn't bring himself to shoot. When we're talking about the Kyle Rittenhouse individual, yes, yeah, that's that's. I think that comes to what it is. At the end of the day, you have people, you know, you have people who are killers and people who are not. And unfortunately, you got to ask yourself, like, everyone could have a gun. I could have a gun, you could have a gun, or we could all have guns. Some people aren't killers, and some people are. Some people will pull the trigger, and some people will never pull the trigger. And so that's where it comes to the fact of when you're sitting here and people are saying crazy things like, we should arm all the teachers. For what? You can give somebody a gun. It doesn't do anything. If you are the type of person who wants to go out here and harm other individuals, you're going to use that gun for that. If you're the type of person who you're not going to use a gun because that is not in your makeup, that's just not who you are, then you're not going to use a gun. And so for some reason, people think that more guns is going to be a solution, that everyone having guns is going to be a solution to a problem. That makes absolutely no sense. And I know that there's a lot of sensible people who think that. I have friends who think that. Let me be very clear. That makes no sense. You can give me a car. If I don't want to drive, then I'm not going to drive. And I know people who don't drive. You can give people, better example, everyone probably knows someone in their family or friend circle, usually somebody a lot older, who doesn't drive on the interstate. They got a car and they got opportunity. It doesn't matter where they're going, they're not getting on the interstate. So you done built these beautiful interstates. They're the best way to get there from one place to the other, the shortest distance, the fastest way, the most gas efficient way. But if somebody ain't gonna drive on the interstate, they're not gonna drive on the interstate. And there's nothing you can do about it. And the same thing with a gun. So, you sit here and you arm these teachers and another person, a gunman comes up in here shooting, but I'm not a gun person. I'm not going to use the gun. It's not I can do. It doesn't hurt. It doesn't help anyone. The Word of God teaches to arm yourself with the Word of God and to put on the whole armor of God. I don't think it means a gun. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I totally agree. You know, again, guns aren't for everyone. And so if your solution is to give more guns out, give people guns, train people up in guns, if everybody knows how to use a gun, that's going to solve the problem. If everybody had guns, it's going to solve some problems. It doesn't solve anything. It doesn't solve anything. You can have all the guns in the world. Somebody comes to a school with a gun to shoot little kids. Those little kids aren't going to have guns. Half of those teachers are not going to be prepared to use a gun. It's a ridiculous notion to think that that's what you're going to be able to do. One last thing, and then our time is gone. There was a situation where it was a summer camp, and a gentleman came up to the summer camp, and he had a gun, and they assumed what he was going to do was to commit some atrocities with the gun at the summer camp. Came up there, he met a person at the front, and the person at the front confronted him and said, well, not said, but confronted him, and basically the gunman shot towards them, and what they were able to do was to lock down the school, call the police. The police came, and then there was a shootout between the gunman and the police. None of the kids were hurt, fortunately. There were some bullets that went towards the classroom. It shot towards one of the classroom or class areas or whatever that was at the summer camp. But nobody was killed. No one had a gun. The man who confronted the other person at the front of the area did not have a gun. Now, what's the difference between that and Buffalo, or that and Uvalde? In Buffalo, there was a security person who had a gun. Still, multiple people died. In Uvalde, no one had a gun. Multiple people died. However, in this situation, no one had a gun, except for the person, the gunman, and nobody died. It's not a deep thought. I don't have a big answer other than the fact that sometimes you're going to be okay, and sometimes you're not. Sometimes you're going to be blessed, and God is going to bless that situation to where you're going to make it out, and sometimes you're not. But what we do know is the presence of a gun or the lack thereof is not the determining factor of whether or not people live or whether or not people die. And so I say that because in these different situations, the one that had a gun didn't help. The security person was there, got killed along with other people. One that didn't have a gun, no one died. They were able to stop it. Police were able to show up and do their job. Another one, no one had a gun. Unfortunately, they weren't able to stop it, and numerous people lost their lives. The gun was not the factor of whether or not people were able to survive or not survive. And so guns are not going to solve this. We're going to solve this by changing hearts and changing minds. We don't have the support of our elected officials. Hopefully we get it. Hopefully we keep pushing along, and we will get some laws passed and some things changed. Until then, and even after then, we need to focus on changing hearts and changing minds. And so the way to do that, I believe, whether you believe in God or not, is take your butt to church. Because when we need strong things, when we need a change, we need those who believe in God and have God's faith and power to push it. And we need the support of those who know that the church has that power to go ahead and get things changed. That's what we have for tonight. Now, We will be back here next week, as we always are on Impact 2022. Also on Thursdays for Thursday Thirst at 7 o'clock on Thursdays, and also on Sundays at 10 for service as well. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for all the comments. Thank you for everybody who watches and participates. And again, anytime that you want to join on, let us know. Reach out to us. We're always here. If there's a topic that you want to discuss, or um, something that you want to say, or if you even want to be on, just reach out to us. Phone number, or come to the website, or leave a comment. So again, thank you. Have a good one, and be blessed.